America isn't just repairing old systems, it is rebuilding strategic capacity from the ground up. The biggest American build-out in decades is happening in plain sight, and by 2026, the pieces are snapping into place. In the heart of the Arizona desert, a new kind of American cornerstone is rising. TSMC's Phoenix campus is not a single chip factory. It is a sprawling ecosystem of fabs, advanced packaging lines, and research labs, with a reported $165 billion committed through 2030. By early 2026, two massive fabs stand ready. Fab 21 is already producing advanced 3-nanometer chips, and Fab 22 is set to ramp up within the year. The ambition is clear: shift America's share of global logic chip production from just 12% to more than 20%, feeding everything from AI servers to fighter jets. But scale brings risk. Each fab draws over 400 megawatts, enough to power a mid-sized city. Arizona Public Service, the state's main utility, found itself in tense negotiations with TSMC's Max Huang. On the other side of the table, APS's David Rousseau warned that the grid would need at least 1 gigawatt of new capacity by 2027, or risk rolling blackouts. The final deal split the difference. It set phased delivery, with 500 megawatts promised by 2026 and the full gigawatt by 2028, backed by a mix of gas and solar. This is not just a local build. The project has created more than 40,000 jobs and drawn dozens of suppliers to the region. Yet every day the fabs pull 1 million gallons of water from a region already locked in drought debates. In Phoenix, America's biggest bet on rebuilding strategic capacity is happening in plain sight, and the stakes stretch far beyond the desert. In Sherman, Texas, a 1 million square foot facility is rising with a single goal: break America's dependence on foreign silicon wafers. Global Wafers is spending $7.5 billion to build the country's largest wafer plant, a project that aims to solve a problem few people even see. Nearly 90% of the world's advanced silicon wafers come from overseas, mostly Japan and Taiwan. Without them, even the most advanced chip fabs in Arizona or New York would sit idle. No wafer, no chip. The Texas plant is designed to produce 300-millimeter wafers, the foundation for cutting-edge semiconductors. When it comes online, it will add about 500,000 wafers a year, enough to cover a fifth of the U.S. market and support the surge of new fabs. The federal government backed the deal with a $400 million CHIPS Act grant, betting that this single node can unlock the rest of the supply chain. For TSMC's Arizona campus, the Sherman plant is more than a supplier. A multi-year contract locks in a steady flow of wafers, with prices tied to the global market. Industry analyst Jim Handy calls wafers the silent choke point. If the pipeline breaks here, everything downstream freezes. The challenge now is ramping up production in time for the tidal wave of new chip demand and making sure America's bet on strategic capacity starts with the very first layer of silicon. In Queen Creek, Arizona, another piece of the new industrial backbone is taking shape. Here, LG Energy Solution is building a $5.5 billion battery complex that stretches across 2.7 million square feet of desert. The mission is bold: deliver 40 gigawatt hours of battery cells every year, enough to power 600,000 electric vehicles or steady the grid for millions of homes. As America's energy needs shift, batteries are the new oil. They don't just drive the electric car boom, they hold the key to making solar and wind reliable, storing energy when the sun sets or the wind dies down. Phase 1 of the plant is already online in early 2026, with full capacity planned by 2028. To keep up with nonstop demand, LG locked in a dedicated 200-megawatt connection from Salt River Project, the region's main utility. That much power could light up a small city, but here it's all about charging up the future. The project brings 4,500 new jobs and a direct link to the electric vehicle supply chain. But it also faces familiar risks, permitting hurdles, water use in a thirsty region, and the challenge of scaling production fast enough to meet both automaker contracts and grid storage deals. As the grid grows more complex, these batteries become the buffer that makes everything else possible. The map of America's strategic rebuild now includes a battery backbone, firming up the grid and fueling the next wave of electrification. In Richland Parish, Louisiana, a new kind of American colossus is rising from farmland, Meta's Hyperion campus. The numbers alone are staggering: $10 billion in reported investment, and a single building that stretches across 1.4 million square feet. This isn't just a warehouse of servers, it's one of the largest AI-optimized data centers ever built, designed to train and host the next generation of artificial intelligence models. But building a digital brain this size takes more than just silicon and code. It demands land, cooling, and power on a scale that rivals a small city. To keep Hyperion running, Meta partnered with Energy Louisiana to upgrade the local grid, planning for a load that will eventually top 1 gigawatt. That's more than some nuclear plants produce, all funneled into racks of chips that never sleep. The heat those chips throw off is another challenge. Engineers designed a custom heat rejection system, using advanced chillers and water loops to keep temperatures in check. Even during the Gulf's sweltering summers, every decision from the layout of the campus to the materials used in the cooling towers is driven by the need to move more data, faster, with less waste. For utility planners, this is a new frontier. The old playbook, designed for factories and shopping malls, can't keep up with the demands of hyperscale AI. Meta's Hyperion is just the first in a trio of mega data centers racing to meet America's appetite for compute, and the question of how to power them safely and reliably is only getting louder. In Jeffersonville, Indiana, Meta is staking $10 billion on a new data center campus that is anything but a copy of its Louisiana giant. This site isn't just about scale, it's about strategy. By planting a second AI hub in the Midwest, Meta is hedging against the risks of clustering all its compute power in one region. The Indiana build serves as a geographic safeguard, a way to keep America's digital backbone resilient if disaster or grid trouble strikes elsewhere. To pull this off, Meta is working closely with Duke Energy, the region's main utility. Transmission planning documents reveal almost 1 gigawatt of new demand coming online in phases, a load that rivals heavy industry. Duke's engineers are mapping out new substations and high-voltage lines, racing to keep up with the site's hunger for electrons. That $10 billion in capital expenditure covers not just server halls, but also the web of infrastructure needed to feed them. Local developers and officials see the project as a once-in-a-generation shot at economic renewal. But the challenge is clear. Every new megawatt for Meta tightens the grid for everyone else. With Amazon's own 2.4 gigawatt expansion looming nearby, the Midwest is turning into a battleground for power, and the stakes are rising with every new server that comes online. In Indiana, Amazon is laying down a bet that dwarfs anything the Midwest has seen before. The company's $15 billion data center expansion is not just another tech build, it is a utility-scale cloud grid engineered to deliver artificial intelligence and cloud services on demand. The numbers are hard to ignore. Amazon is preparing to draw an extra 2.4 gigawatts from the regional grid, a load that rivals the output of 2 large nuclear plants. For the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, known as MYSO, this is a challenge with no easy answers. Internal memos show regulators pushing back, warning that the grid could buckle under the constant round-the-clock demand. Proposals to curtail Amazon's load by even 10% have been met with resistance from AWS, which insists that the full 2.4 gigawatts is non-negotiable. The debate has spilled into closed-door meetings and public filings, with MISO demanding new demand response agreements and Amazon arguing that anything less would put America's digital backbone at risk. As the construction cranes rise and the substations multiply across Indiana, the question lingers. Can the grid keep up with the hunger for compute? Or will the nation's biggest cloud gamble trigger a new era of power shortages? The answer will shape not just the Midwest, but the future of American innovation. Tennessee Valley Authority's Kingston Complex stands at the crossroads of America's energy future. The old coal-fired units, once the backbone of East Tennessee's grid, are now being replaced by a new 1.5 gigawatt mix, 1.4 gigawatts of natural gas, 100 megawatts of battery storage, and a symbolic slice of on-site solar. The promise is simple: keep the lights on for the next generation of factories, data centers, and communities, no matter what. TVA's CEO Jeff Lyash put it bluntly in a 2025 board memo. Gas ensures 95% uptime. That is what our customers demand. But reliability comes with risks. Legal filings from the Sierra Club and the Southern Environmental Law Center are stacking up in courtrooms, arguing that doubling down on gas locks the region into decades of fossil fuel emissions. Memories of the 2008 Kingston coal ash spill still haunt local communities, and every new pipeline brings fresh scrutiny. Environmental groups point to the missed chance for a bigger leap toward renewables, warning that the current mix could saddle ratepayers with cleanup costs and stranded assets if policy winds shift. For TVA, the numbers are non-negotiable. 9 aging coal units are set to retire by the end of 2027, and the new complex must be ready before the last one shuts down. The 1.5 gigawatt target is designed to match the grid's peak needs, backing up everything from server farms to industrial parks across the Southeast. The project's future now hangs between courtrooms and control rooms, where every decision tips the balance between cleaner energy and unblinking reliability. The outcome will ripple far beyond Tennessee as the nation's grid braces for a wave of new demand. In upstate New York, the ground is broken for what is being called the largest semiconductor manufacturing facility in the United States. Micron's $100 billion mega fab in Clay, just outside Syracuse, is not just another chip plant. It is the final boss of America's memory comeback. Spanning 9 million square feet, the complex is designed to produce advanced DRAM and HBM memory, the lifeblood for AI servers, cloud data centers, and next-generation devices. The numbers are staggering. Up to 50,000 regional jobs projected over the next 3 decades, with 9,000 direct hires promised as the first phase ramps up. But scale brings its own gravity. To run at full tilt, Micron's site will need a workforce skilled in everything from clean room protocols to advanced robotics. That is where stories like Maria Gonzalez come in. Once a welder at the Nucor steel plant, Maria is now retraining as a fab technician through Onondaga Community College's new CHIPS curriculum. She is one of 2,000 people enrolled in 2025 alone, part of a pipeline meant to fill the thousands of roles these fabs demand. For many, it is a leap into a world of white suits and precision engineering, all in hopes of anchoring America's place in the global tech race. Yet the risks are as outsized as the ambition. The facility's appetite for energy and water is immense, with regional planners still racing to secure enough capacity. Critics warn that cost overruns permitting battles, and the sheer scale of the build could threaten timelines. But if Micron delivers, the payoff is clear. For the first time, U.S. memory production could climb from 0 to 10% of the world's supply, feeding the AI era from American soil. For now, the site is a hive of cranes, earth movers, and hope. A bet on scale, skill, and the promise that the next wave of innovation will not have to cross an ocean to be born. Out in the Mojave, the dream of American high-speed rail is being put to the test. Brightline West promises to connect Las Vegas and Southern California with 218 miles of all-electric track, a route designed to relieve the infamous Interstate 15, where more than 50 million car trips clog the desert every year. The vision is bold, trains flying at up to 186 miles per hour, slashing travel times and cutting out hundreds of thousands of cars annually. But the price tag tells a different story. What started as a $12 billion project has ballooned to $21.5 billion by 2026, hammered by the cost of steel, labor shortages, and a surge in material prices. Inflation alone has added more than 30% to key contracts. The biggest hurdle, though, was not just money. It was land. In early 2024, Union Pacific stunned planners by refusing to grant right-of-way along its freight corridor, forcing months of legal battles and last-minute route changes. A February memo from UP's board laid out the risks. Passenger trains running this fast could disrupt freight schedules, threaten liability, and require a level of coordination never seen in the American West. By spring, a $9.5 billion cost revision went before Brightline's board, triggering a scramble for new federal grants and a high-stakes negotiation with both states and the railroad giant. Despite the drama, construction is underway, powered by a $3 billion federal grant and the promise of a new era in American mobility. Advocates say the project could remove 400,000 cars from the highway each year and cut millions of tons of carbon emissions. But every mile of track comes at a premium, and the entire project now stands as a test case for whether the country can build big, fast, and on budget. As the steel goes up in the desert, the real question is whether this time the vision can outpace the costs. Deep under Baltimore, the Frederick Douglass Tunnel is rewriting the script for American rail. For 150 years, a single, crumbling tunnel has funneled more than 150 trains a day through the Northeast Corridor, Amtrak's busiest stretch, and a lifeline for the national economy. The old tunnel, built in the aftermath of the Civil War, has become a notorious bottleneck, with slow speeds, constant leaks, and breakdowns that ripple up and down the East Coast. The stakes are enormous. A single failure here can snarl the schedules of millions, disrupt freight, and cost businesses billions. The fix is anything but simple. 2 new 1.4-mile tubes are being bored beneath the city at a price tag close to $6 billion, the most ambitious tunnel project in the region since the original was laid. Excavation crews work night shifts, carving through clay and rock, while trains keep rolling overhead. The logistics are relentless. Every night, teams install scaffold bridges and temporary supports, then clear the way before morning rush hour. It is a dance of precision and speed, designed to maintain 90% of service, even as the old tunnel is slowly replaced piece by piece. Andy Byford, Amtrak's Northeast Corridor chief, signed off on the round-the-clock workaround. His plan, nighttime bores and daytime staging, means Baltimore commuters still get to work, and the national rail network keeps moving. But risks remain. Urban tunneling brings constant surprises, hidden utilities, soft soil, and the ever-present threat of accidents. Delays could ripple far beyond Maryland, threatening the Northeast's fragile transport backbone. If the new tunnel delivers, it will double capacity and clear a choke point that has throttled America's busiest rail line for generations. In the push to rebuild strategic capacity, the Frederick Douglass Tunnel is where old bones meet new ambition, and the outcome will echo up and down the corridor. Right now, over $300 billion is in play, not just in steel and silicon, but in what America can actually build for itself. If even half of this pipeline lands on time, the country won't just catch up, it will set the pace for the next generation. The stakes are real, the risks are high, and the outcome is still unwritten. What do you think? Will it deliver?